Hello and welcome to Kingston Now. I'm Jimmy Buff. Back in March, plans were announced for a Kingston Police Youth Bureau to open at the Everett Hodge Center in Midtown, and today is the grand opening, and we're here at the Hodge Center with Kingston Mayor Shayne Gallo. Hi, Shayne.
Jimmy, how are you?
So March to June, that's pretty good progress, pretty quick progress.
Very pleased. Chief Tintio hit the ground running with the idea. We had talked about it last year. We revisited, of course, after the election. And then in the earlier part of this year, as you stated, okay, we made an announcement that we were going to do it. It's a continuation of just trying to promote the revitalization of Midtown and with our police department, reconnect to the neighborhood, to our youth. Also, too, we owe it to the business people here locally to reestablish that presence, okay, in the neighborhood. We have UPAC and 721, okay, both anchors with this arts business digital corridor. We've got interest with individuals who want to put in art galleries I'm working on right now here, right around the corner. So it's a long answer to your question, but I'm very excited that Chief Tintio is continuing our goal of community policing, reconnecting to the neighborhood and assisting with the revitalization of Midtown.
Well, I recently heard the chief say in a radio interview that during your campaign, when you talked about doing something about the troubled youth or the problem youth in Midtown, addressing the issues of drugs and youth gangs in Midtown, that he thought, okay, the time is going to be right for this. Is that what prompted that conversation with you guys?
Yes. Mm-hmm. It came on the heels of what happened last year over off of Greenkill, South Clinton, and the Barnum Park, where a group of local youths attacked a youth and with a pellet gun. And it underscored the necessity of reconnecting to the neighborhood and trying to steer the kids locally away from gang-related activities and dealing drugs, and just foster a better relationship not only with the children but with their parents and establish a presence in the neighborhood to that end. So I'm very pleased that Chief Tintio, the police department, our youth officers, our SROs, school resource officers, Detective Bowers, who is our youth officer, outstanding job, really a credit.
We're here at the Hodge Center in Midtown. Is the location specific to the issues? Are they primarily in this area? Is that why we're here today?
Yes, as stated earlier, because of some of the concerns and problems we had last year, okay, involving our local youth from this neighborhood. In addition, 50% plus of the calls that our police department are dispatched to are here in Midtown.
So how will the Police Youth Bureau function at the center here?
Well, it's my understanding that when they're done with their tour at their established schools where they do maintain a presence as school resource officers, they'll be working out of here. You'll have our Youth Bureau officer, Detective Bowers, who will be coordinating, okay, their activities, outreach with the local youth. They'll be involved with investigations, okay, here in the area. It's my understanding too, we're going to use this as a site for our bike patrol. We're going to probably put the bike patrol back out as the weather gets nicer for the summer. So essentially the presence here is imperative for coordinating investigations, outreach with the youth. Also too, as an example, at King's Inn, Detective Bowers and the PBA, our youth officer, and the other police officers are going to help the local kids, okay, put in a raised garden over at the King's Inn site, which we're right now, okay, essentially renovating for purposes of parking for UPAC, but we're going to put benches, planters. We've already planted some shrubs. Gotten very positive feedback, not only from those driving past and coming into the area going to UPAC, but also just from the neighbors. They feel like they're actually now being paid attention to. So it's a very positive situation.
Well, it sounds great. Just before we actually hear from Chief Tintio, he also mentioned about a month ago that he would like to see perhaps police headquarters relocated to Midtown. How do you feel about that?
Actually, the chief and I are very excited about that. We've talked extensively. I'm in contact with Bank of America, the realtor who's actually offering the property. We're in the process too of seeking some funding from Senator Schumer and Senator Gillibrand. I'll probably be taking a trip to Washington at the end of this month. We know we have a lot of funding opportunity through housing and urban development. It's interesting because it would be win-win. By establishing a police station here, it would benefit the revitalization of the Broadway art digital corridor. You have 15 to 20 unoccupied storefronts. which we feel would be a very positive impact if the police station were here. You have also, too, as I stated earlier, 50% of the calls are here in the Midtown area. You've got a situation where the joblessness rate and the census data show that per capita, this is one of the poorest neighborhoods in the entire United States. So you've got all of these things that are necessary to consider. So by having the police station here in Midtown, it could be win-win, okay, for the entire city.
Mayor, as always, a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by.
My pleasure.
This is Kingston Now. More from the newly opened Kingston Police Youth Bureau in a moment. Welcome back to Kingston Now. This week we're at the Hodge Center in Midtown Kingston for the formal opening of the Kingston Police Youth Bureau, and we're here with Chief of Police Egidio Tintio. Chief, congratulations first off.
Thank you.
The mayor was just on a moment ago deferring all credit to you, and before the cameras roll, you want to defer all the credit to the officers who are running the place. Tell me about that.
Well, I think my philosophy in a lot of things I do is I have a tendency to paint what I want done with a broad brush. I leave the details to the officers and the individuals that actually know the job better than I do. You know, I recognize through assessment of what we offer as an agency to the city that there is a need. There's a need to help the young kids and young adults of this city, and that's one thing we haven't been able to do as an agency. Again, as part of the assessment, I realize that we spend a large number of hours getting to these kids once they're in trouble. Well, what if we take a different approach and become more proactive about it and say, let's reach out for them before they make a bad decision? I think the end result is that the officers, and this was one of the easiest sells I've had to make in my agency ever. I called a meeting with them. I knew that the school resource officers were the ones that had the best insight into the needs of the kids because they deal with them every day at the school. And Tim Bowers, Detective Tim Bowers, who is the juvenile detective for our agency, knows it from the other end, from the dealings once they cross the line. And I sat down with them and said, I'm thinking about a youth bureau to address the needs of the kids in this city. And at one point in the meeting, I actually had to stop the meeting because they were talking amongst themselves and already using just some plain paper and a pencil, outlining everything that they wanted to do. This is great, this is what we want. And at that point, I said, okay, everybody out, go report back to me in 2 weeks and see what we've got. And it was just amazing. I think not just as an agency, but once the officers and detectives sat down and put out an email, we had 14 or 15 organizations, business alliance groups, individuals reach out for us and said, how can we help? We see this as a huge plus for the city, and it's true because I think that sometimes the kids don't have the opportunity to make the right decisions. I call it they make less than good decisions because that's the way I see it. And I think for us as a community, it would help develop them into good, committed, hardworking adults if we gave them the opportunity to guide them on the way there.
A frequent thing I see on the Kingston Police Department's Facebook page, and I know there's a Facebook page specifically for the Youth Bureau, but on your page specifically, I'll see an arrest report. Someone's arrested, his mugshot or her mugshot is put up, and then in the comments section, I will read, really, he was such a nice kid, she was such a nice kid, what happened? And so is this an attempt to get in before that turn?
It is. It is an attempt to address any issues, and I see it as a realization because, again, I've been a cop 20 years. People call us for everything from a barking dog to fireworks to parking issues, all of it, everything in between. What time does the parade start? We've heard it all. So in an effort to serve the city in the best way we can, that is just one way. You know, we see that. Just like you pointed out on our comments page, you know, what happened to the kid, or what happened to her, or what happened to him? And this is our way to get there before they get to that fork in the road and they go the wrong way. That's our real hope. And again, you know, our belief is that with Tim Bowers there as a detective, they can guide them based upon his experiences. Hey, listen, I had a kid that did this and this is what happened. And sometimes it's getting them what they need. I feel, and I have kids of my own, they're a little bit older now, when they were kids, 12 and 13 years old, they just wanted an ear. So I think we're going to offer them that. Now, it's going to have a little bit of a police side to it as well, because that's what we know and what we do. But, you know, the Leadership Academy that we're going to be starting this summer, there's a number of classes that will be held on a regular basis, and it'll tell or teach kids what police do. And even if we don't get them, or even if they started out interested in police work and they want to go towards maybe criminal law or maybe even medical school, we want to help them to get there. So the one thing that came out of the meeting we had with the organizations is what they can offer. And certainly, we understand we can't do it alone. It's obvious that here, all the groups that are here today, working together to achieve one goal, and that's to serve the community.
You're watching Kingston Now. We're at the Hodge Center. More when we return. Welcome back to Kingston Now. This week we're at the Hodge Center in Midtown Kingston for the formal opening of the Kingston Police Youth Bureau. And with us now is Detective Tim Bowers. Hi, Tim.
Hi.
So there's a lieutenant who is overseeing this, right?
That's correct, Lieutenant Scanlon.
And then there's you.
Then there's me.
Tell me about your role here.
Of course. When Chief Tintio came to me about this whole idea a couple months ago, I was extremely excited. Chief Tintio and I have had this conversation in the past where we know there's a gap that exists sometime with the way the police department deals with juvenile problems and juvenile issues in the community. Part of the reason is manpower. We get so busy responding to crimes in progress, we don't always have the time to proactively do proactive measures within the community. And when you're dealing with juveniles, being a proactive part of their lives in the community is a very important thing. Too often times, we come into the measure after the kids have already gone off and done delinquent acts and gone down a bad road. Our hope is to mentor and guide them and jump into place before that happens.
Early in the program, Chief Tintio was saying that oftentimes, sadly for you, you're on that, your role is getting the kids after they've done something wrong and, you know, arresting them or putting them into the system.
Yes.
Is this a change of pace for you to get into it at this point?
Yes, it is. It's a much refreshing change of pace. We're very fortunate because our community is blessed with many talents. We have, the Kingston High School has a youth court program, and that is a terrific program. Since I've been doing juvenile work for the past 2 years, our relationship with the county attorney's office, the group that prosecutes juvenile issues, has grown tremendously. The assistant county attorney, Kristen Gumier, at this point in time has an extremely well understanding of the juvenile justice system and all the roles that probation, the police, and her office can play. And we really are trying to work together and try to forge new ideas and new things that'll help us and the community and the kids. Because let's not forget that the role of family court is much different than of criminal court. Their role is not to punish. Their role is to rehabilitate. So hopefully by working together and forging these new partnerships, we're going to forge and be way ahead of the curve.
So part of the process here at the Youth Bureau is going to be patrolling, going out and being seen in the neighborhood, but part of it, and it's stated, is for leadership and mentoring.
That's correct.
Tell me about that aspect.
Of course. This summer we're going to start the inaugural session of our Leadership and Mentoring Academy. Our target audience is going to be teens from 13 to 17 years old, although that will not be exclusive. If we have a 12-year-old or 11-year-old that we think might benefit from the program, we will certainly allow them in. And same thing for an 18-year-old or a 19-year-old. Our Mentoring and Leadership Academy is going to teach kids skills such as how to open your own bank account and monitor your bank account, how to be smart while you're online. We're also going to teach them what it's like to wear the uniform that we wear. We have access through Ulster County Community College with the FATS training simulator, which is the firearms training simulator, which basically is a beautiful $20,000 or $30,000 PlayStation that we interact with, and we use it as a training tool for our firearms training. It would be wonderful to teach these kids Article 35, which is defensive justification, and when to act, when not to act in a classroom setting, and then put them in a real life situation, a situation that we might be in, or that they could be in as a homeowner, and see how they would react when a use of force situation comes about. Not only would it be fun, but it would be informative, and I think it would be a great way to build a bridge between the police and the kids in our community.
It's funny because you often hear stories of people who grew up to be police officers who grew up in troubled neighborhoods, and got some exposure to the police work that was done in their neighborhoods, and it impressed them so much that they ended up going to law enforcement themselves. And the history too of, just even in literature and cinema, of the police and the youth, going back to the film Angels with Dirty Faces. It's a really compelling story to see that interaction with law enforcement and children. And so you're going to be on another side of it in the Youth Bureau here. Have you thought about what that might be like?
We haven't put everything into place yet, but I can't speak highly enough about the people that we're working together with. Harry Waltman, Chris Holbert, John Kurz, other patrol officers who have indicated a big need, and a couple of them are here today, Frankie Saraceno, John Solian. These officers are astounding at what they do. The way that they can interact and develop relationships with kids on and do positive networking. I'm very excited that these guys are going to be working together with us. I think that as soon as school gets out, they're going to be out and about in the Kingston parks. They're going to be at the ball fields. They're going to be at Barman. They're going to be at Quick Check. They're going to grab a bunch of kids, and they may get into a wiffle ball game for a half an hour and play wiffle ball with kids. That's thinking outside the box. We'll be fortunate to have time to do that with the kids when we can. But those relationships that we can develop with these kids hopefully will be lasting, lifelong things, where when that child, a year, 2 years, a month from now, gets brought with a decision that may not be the right decision, maybe something from that relationship will click in and say, you know what, maybe I shouldn't make that bad decision. Maybe I should think about what Officer Harry said or what Detective Bowers said. Maybe I should try to do the right thing now.
Detective Tim Bowers, thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much.
This is Kingston Now. We've got more from the Kingston Police Youth Bureau when we return. Hello and welcome to Kingston Now again. I'm Jimmy Buff. We are at the Everett Hodge Center in Midtown for the grand opening of the Kingston Police Youth Bureau. And with me now is Cheryl Bowers from Rondout Savings Bank. You are the Chief Administrative Officer?
That's correct.
What does that mean?
Jack of all trades.
Including being here at the grand opening
That's right.
of the Youth Bureau. How does Rondout Savings Bank get involved in something like this?
Well, in a big way, we entrench ourselves into the community. One initiative that we do, and we're very proud of, is 10% of our earnings every year gets dedicated back into the communities that we serve. So whatever our profit is, and that's just the dollar portion of it. We have 68 employees, and last year we racked over 12,000 volunteer hours within the communities that we served. So how we got involved in this particular project is multiple facets of it. Number one, it's in our neighborhood. We have our headquarters for 140 years on Broadway in Kingston, so it's very important to us that the Midtown corridor be as good as it can ever be and better than it is today. And the only way we're going to do that is to catch our youth now doing something right rather than catching them later doing something wrong. So how could we help this initiative? So my husband, Tim Bowers, is a detective that's very involved with the Youth Bureau.
Sure, it was just on a few moments
ago.
Okay.
So he and I got talking about this, and he was talking about the initial kickoff, which this event is. Now, this is going to be a program that we want to live and breathe forever, but tonight's just the kickoff. So we get a little bit of community involvement, we get the neighborhood understanding, and I said, well, what could Rondout do to help? He said, we'd love to have a ginormous party or kickoff or whatever. Maybe you guys could help. Well, that's all you have to say. And it's like I start talking about it at work and what the initiative is, and Chief Tintio talked to my staff and the mayor and Tim, and it just grew wings of its own. And we're so thrilled to be here. So what we decided is, what can a bank, besides our volunteers that are here tonight cooking burgers and talking to folks, but what else can we do to help the youth? So one of the things is we have kids that they graduate high school, they get a job, or maybe they get their GED and they get a job. They get a check. They don't even know how to open a bank account. They don't even know what's necessary for that. So they go up the street to the check cashing booth and pay $25 to cash their $65 paycheck. How do we help? So tonight, one of the things we're doing, catch them young, we have a little piggy bank. So there's a coupon in the piggy bank, and up to $20 when they fill their piggy bank, we'll match up to $20 when they bring it in. There's no fees. We're not going to clobber them with any of that stuff. It's just your good old-fashioned passbook savings that we all had when we were in school years ago. So we're teaching them to save from the beginning rather than wasting their money at the end. So that's one of the initiatives we have going on here tonight, and the giveaways, and just creating some momentum to the program. And it really has grown a life of its own within my organization.
Now, being married to a detective who has dealings with juveniles on a regular basis, did he come home and tell you these stories of, oh, this poor kid, I saw him, he was going good, and then something bad happened? Does that affect you?
It does, because on many levels. One, Tim's been a detective for many years, in the police force for 24, and has been the the juvenile detective for many, many years. So you hear about these kids that, you almost get them when they're 9, 10, 12, and then you might lose them because there's just not enough to keep them busy, or in a good way. Or he'll talk to me about an instance where our logo here tonight, the Youth Bureau Yoga logo, is actually a graffiti artist in town. How do we channel that great talent into something productive? We did that tonight. So he'll talk about one kid like that, and if you can get one kid turned around, how cool is that? So yeah, we do talk about it, but we want to catch the kids doing something right before Tim catches them on the other side. This program is developed to catch them before they become a product of an investigation or something like that. So,
well, 3 cheers for Rondout Savings Bank.
Thank you. I'm thrilled to be a part of this, as is all of the staff. I'm just one of many, many, many here tonight.
Thanks, Cheryl.
Thank you.
That's it for this week's show. We'd like to thank Mayor Shayne Gallo, Chief of Police Egidio Tintio, Detective Tim Bowers, and Cheryl Bowers of Rondout Savings Bank. To find out more about Kingston Now, look for us on Facebook. I'm Jimmy Buff. I'll see you next time.